Uh, hello, hello everybody. It's 6:30 and we're going live. Hi Resham. We're going live with Mr. Prakash Bal Joshi, artist extraordinaire. Yeah. Okay, we just got disconnected. Hey. Hey Priya. How are you? Oh, hi Nita auntie. How are you? Shady Wanted One. Welcome. I'll just introduce Prakash Bal Joshi. He is a multifaceted personality with 4 decades in journalism, creative writing, and is a world-renowned artist. He was appointed by the jury of the international art competitions held by galleries in Belgravia, Mayfair, London, and World Citizen Artists. He is also on the panel as an ethics advisor for an international group of artists called World Citizen Artists with worldwide representation. His art installation, God's Particle, at the India Art Festival, Mumbai 2012, received international appreciation as the scientist related to the scientific experiment got a Nobel Prize in 2013. So we have a very interesting personality with us today, and I'm just sort of waiting for a couple of minutes, and he is gonna join us. I think he has. Let me just send him a request to join. Yeah, I've sent him a request to join us. So without any further delay, as soon as he logs in, we're gonna have an interactive session where we're gonna dig into his psyche. So the little big moments that truly make him who he is, and the highs and lows of life, how he deals with them, especially related to his passion, which we're gonna hear more about him. Prakash Bal Joshi is with us. So, Joshi sir, can you please accept my invitation and we can, have this interaction. We can start right away. Bal Joshi sir. So basically, as soon as he joins, we'll start. But based on his answers today, I'll be creating an artwork depicting his journey. Like I said, about how he deals with life, how he's achieved, how much that he has, and it's going to be very inspiring. It's going to be very exciting to know about his psyche. I have known him for the past 5 years, and he is of course a family friend, and he's in many ways been a mentor to me. I think I'm in the art line because of him. So it's a very special interview for me today, because it's related to my own personal journey that he has been a very big molding factor. Joshi sir, are you having any trouble joining? Maybe you can type. Can I be heard? Please let me know if I can be heard. Audiences, can I be heard? My dad is also logged in. Hi dad. Can someone just put a yes if I can be heard well? Okay, thank you Kalpana auntie, thank you. Welcome. Okay, just a moment. Let me just call Joshi sir and just check what I'm just calling Prakash Bal Joshi sir. Yeah, hi Sumer Lalwani, thanks for joining in. We're gonna start in a moment. Bal Joshi sir, are you ready to join? Can't get through him on the phone either. Let me send him. Okay, there. Okay, we have him. Thank you. Yes. Yeah, in just a moment, he'll be with us.
Just give me some time.
Can you just adjust your camera so we can?
Yeah. Just a minute. Just give me some time.
No problem.
One. Just give it.
Yeah, hi Ria. I know Extra Architect has joined. She's a great friend. Thanks for joining, Ria. Some great audience today, and please, as the live is going on, do keep a tab on your questions. Y'all can definitely, type out your questions at the end or during the live, which we can address later. And, ask Mr. Joshi here.
Just a minute. Just a minute.
He'll be with us in a moment.
Yeah. Sorry. No, I think it's okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yeah, to me, you're very loud and audible. Very loud
Okay.
and.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes.
So, welcome Prakash ji. How do you feel? I hope you're comfortable with me gonna start, throwing questions at you
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Very well.
understand
We can start, and
your.
I'm excited, and I'm really thankful for you to. It's very. Uh, it's a really an event where we interact and talk about your art process and all. And I like the concept of interacting about art.
Thank you so much. Not at all. It's my pleasure. Like I was mentioning earlier, I feel, I come from a very strong business family. And, I did not initially have any artist connections or artist friends. And I think you were the first point of contact. I had to literally force
Mhm.
my
Yes.
father and be like, you're making me meet your artist friend. And I think you
Yes.
encouraged me. And then my father said, okay, let's support her as well. So, I feel like I owe a lot to you and your encouragement, and so this live is extremely special. And, I hope I do justice and get your inspiring story. And I'll also get to learn a lot of things that I don't know about you and your personality and your
Yeah.
journey. And it'll be an honor to depict and create something for you.
Yeah. It was nice meeting you first time in my studio with you, along with your dad, whom I
Yeah,
know for quite a long time.
yeah.
And I told him that art is an area where you don't have to rush. You need a lot of patience, and a lot of practice. So as I see the way you are progressing in your work and your participation in a lot of art events around, so I'm sure you'll go a long way.
So thank you so much. That means a lot. And I need blessings from angels like you in my life for sure. Uh, I'm just nothing without people like you. I think we have, a good, nice kind of response and good amount of audience. So should we then start with the question?
Yeah, shoot, welcome.
So basically, we want to dig deep and understand your creative process as an artist, the art form that you have sort of built on and made like your identity over the years. but relationships in life is also a very important factor that molds you, your friends, your family. At the end of the day, no matter how successful you are, you're nothing without them. You need someone to even share your success with. So we spoke about, briefly we introduced your success story and how much you've achieved. I just spoke about that. So maybe you can talk about the important relationship in your life that has been a shaping force in making you and all the kind of person you are. Maybe you can throw some light on that.
Yes, I had not decided that I will become an artist, painter, or an author. But as I look back uh, at my own life, I realized that there was some kind of creative urge within me.
Right.
And as I look back, I mean, you cannot decide. It happens. It is within you.
Right.
And as I remember, uh, I think it was my mother
Wow.
who was the first viewer of whatever I was doing, or first kind of critic.
Okay.
So even as a child, when I got my first slate, they and the slate and chalks, and I was supposed to start writing alphabets,
Huh.
A, E, E, like in Devanagari, in Marathi.
Yeah.
But once I got the slate and the chalks, I the chalks. I used to get some colored chalks also and try to do something with those chalks, try to depict something.
Okay.
And so my interaction or my expression or creativity started. Uh, as I look back, at that time, of course, it was like some child just dribbling something, but the something was quite meaningful. I
Yeah.
s- distinctly remember that as I grew and I started drawing something on the slate, because slate was the first platform, first canvas of my life, and that
Back then we had,
uh,
I guess, for
yeah, so
education.
that's the beginning. And then I distinctly remember I used to draw a parrot,
Hmm. Okay.
and I used to draw parrot not like very, it's just shape, his wings and his, and especially with this color, it's so prominent beak,
Right.
red color beak, and then he's that. But I always tried to uh, draw his eye,
Hmm.
and
Okay.
I always felt that my parrot is not looking live. It was looking dead kind of thing. So, so one day I asked my mother, "What is wrong with my drawing?"
Yeah.
So she told me, "Nothing wrong in that, but parrot, what is the liveliness?
Yeah.
Liveliness of an individual or of an animal or bird
Yeah.
are eyes.
Huh.
उसका पूरा जो जान रहती है वो आँख में रहती है.
Yeah.
And
Eyes
as
are the
long as you can his eyes properly, then only he will look live. The parrot will look live. Otherwise, of course, it will look like a parrot, but it will not be as you want it to be live. It won't become live. So,
right.
I'm just recollecting. I mean, as you are asking me, I'm just
Yeah.
recollecting all those thoughts. That process. So
Right.
that is how I started doing things. And even in the school, I remember I had my school teacher, a drawing teacher,
Yeah.
and of course, in those days we had my school also had a special room for drawing class. So for a drawing class once in a week, we used to leave our regular classroom and go to the very happily and running and with joy, bubbling with joy. For everybody of us would like to do something was away from studies. So
Yeah.
it was more kind
You
of a pleasure.
uh,
So we used to go to the drawing room,
yeah.
and my teacher, he had a big blackboard, and he said, then he used to start drawing something. Then he said, draw this. Then
Yeah.
he said, draw this. So that's how he used to compose something, in front of us. But he wanted every student to go according to step. But I was still very impatient, like I never used to, I used to draw what he was saying, and then because it used to take a lot of time for him to just go around and see everybody has done. So I had no patience. So whatever he has done, then I used to just take it further in my own imagination. I did not know what he was drawing or what was in his mind, but something else was in mind. So I was trying to do it in my own way, and then he used to come and see what I was doing, and he says, "What are you doing? I have not told you to do this." And then he used to not only scold me, but those days teachers used to have a ruler, and then they used to punish also because uh, you're doing what you should do. But I realized afterwards that that impatience in me also helped me in a way uh, to calm down my own nerves. When I started really doing my practices and especially sketching, because I did sketching almost 10 years. I was doing only sketching. I never went to the canvas. Like sketching was my forte.
Okay.
Initially, I used to do a realistic thing, and then again, like in that art school, I used to jump the queue and run ahead.
Yeah.
Even in that, also, like when I was doing some realistic, then I somehow started doing something which I myself was not aware what I'm doing. Like, but it was all my imagination, and it's a different kind of. So that I did for almost 10 years, and I was also then doing something called single line. Like earlier, I never realized, but then I realized that I'm only drawing a line. That too also without like a single line in a spark. Like just do it and finish. Like, but that line used to be single, isolated. She never used to touch herself
Yeah.
and used to create forms. So that single line form, I was doing many of those. So that is how I started. And of course, when I went to the canvas, it was another story. But that practice for 10 years of doing sketching and exploring your own mind of various things, what you see, what you feel, what you express, that was kind of uh, that really laid down the uh, kind of foundation for my own work to take further.
Okay, so it's like you got your major encouragement from your mother. The important person in my life has also been my mother, who's always telling
Yeah,
me, no matter what comes, just keep moving forward. And I sort of had started off with photography, and now I'm doing photography based collage art and things like that. So I
correct.
feel it's more about the lesson that she gave me, which is just to sort of move forward. uh, no, but you've just taken us to a different era, talking about your school days and drawing on slate, and how teachers used to teach back then, and then how you've been sketching over the years. So I'm gonna have to maybe, after you're comfortable with meeting people, come and see some of your sketches. Or are they like, maybe you can talk about uh, how you came up, your passion, which you started with sketches. So then how it evolved over a period of time.
Yeah, actually, as I look back, I was like not consciously, I was just doing like that. Like I had not decided. I was just as a school child. Even at that stage, I was kind of playing with words also. Like
Okay.
I also had a kind of I wanted to write something. Like I was voracious reader even as a child. So apart from the school books, which I used to finish in a month's time, this whole book of the year,
Yeah.
and then whatever comes to my hand, I used to read. Like whether it's a newspaper or some book here or there, without understanding. I used to just read the books.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
at a school stage, you don't. But then whatever books come, my father is bringing some book, then he's reading. And after he finishes or when he's reading, also used to read. And then I also felt that I should write something.
Huh.
I just third, fourth standard or something like that. I had no background. Even my family also had, like nobody had any background of either writing or drawing or something like that.
Right.
So there again, I used to write something,
Okay.
some small funny stories because those days we used to get uh, very small booklets, small books on magic.
On magic.
Magic means short stories.
Okay.
They used
Okay.
to cost only some 1 anna or something like that. I mean, nowadays nobody can understand what is one anna. It was used to be one 16 part of a rupee those days, and it used to be a small booklet kind of thing, hardly 20 pages, and in the bold. So basically, it was for small children, But if you talk about magic, like magic carpet, and then some prince, some princess, some coloring. Those days, I had read one of those books, and I was fascinated with that. There was a story where there was one artist, and then he was just going and into the jungle and drawing trees and something like that. And then he was meditating also. So
Okay.
he got a power. So he got power in his brush.
Uh-huh.
So where the those times the god or something like that they endowed him, they say that whatever you draw, and if you want, you can make it alive.
Yeah.
And during those time, his kingdom was attacked by some other king. So his king requested him, so he draw all this soldiers and everything like that. And then he went on drawing and making things live. So I was fascinated, and I wanted to do something like that. I say, why
Right.
can't I draw something which can, like, draw a butterfly and let the butterfly fly out of the window or something like that. All those fascinating and funny ideas. But after reading those small books,
Yeah.
I also wanted to write something like that.
Yeah.
A child's imagination. So I also wanted to write. Then I was must be in the sixth standard or seventh standard. I wrote once like that small short story. It's called Jadusa Pankha,
Okay.
magic fan.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even remember what the story was about. But whenever I used to write, my mother used to be my first reader. I used to tell her, read, read. So out of her, whatever her daily core and everything, she used to read, and then she used to find out so many mistakes,
Yeah.
grammatical mistakes, and the rasva, dirgha, which I even today, I mean, of course, but those days it used to be very difficult to be proper and kind of thing. So she used to just edit everything like that. Then there was one competition by Maratha Times. It's a major newspaper in Marathi newspaper. They had a competition called. They gave the topic Ghar te Shala, means from home to school. So I just got down from the home, went to the school, come back and wrote 300 words.
Mm.
And that was my first thing which appeared in the print.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so I gave, that's how I started. So what I'm trying to say is like since my childhood days, I was struggling with both
Yeah.
words as well as with visuals, like
Visuals and
sketches and drawings. So I had not decided to do this or that. Like every child, is always want to explore things. So that's how I used to explore things. And once I went to college, and I was a science student,
okay. Nice.
but yeah, science student, but my real passion was expression. Like either in the either in the words or in so I was very happy when I took my even science periods also. There was a lot of drawing, so I used to do all the work. I mean, we used to have journals and then draw in botany, in zoology, in physics, and
Right. Right.
trigonometry was my one of my very favorite subject. So all of this involved a very scientific way of visualizing things and drawing it. I think those experiences or those days also really helped me when I really entered in a sense, not decided, but I started doing more work uh, in visuals. So that way, I was even in the college also I used to write and creative writing basically.
Okay.
So that really helped me to take it further.
Okay. Like, I think you spoke about, being the master or being comfortable, very modestly put that, with the pen and writing and also visual. Sorry. I was just having a conversation with a friend the other day that, what is more powerful, visual language or the written language? And we were just having a debate, and then we said, imagine both coming together. That's the ultimate, right? Our ultimate form of communication.
No, you see, communication is not only through, I mean, if you really take communication as such, there are various layers and various levels of communicating with each other without words, without visuals. There are so because you have so many sensors in your body.
Yeah.
When you really want to communicate with somebody or with even with the society, there are so many ways of communicating. But for me, as I was dabbling in both the ways, both the things, later I realized that when I am writing something and expressing some very complex ideas or complex situations or complex feelings,
Yeah.
so at certain level, because words are very definite. Words are very definite, and one word doesn't remain like that. They also roll like the stones in a river. They keep on rolling, rolling over the years,
Correct.
and they become either soft or they become different shapes and different angles. Like that, words also, whatever meaning today that word has, tomorrow it may acquire another meaning, or it just gone. So what I'm saying, so words. Then I realize that sometimes the words fail me. I don't know others, but my own experience. Words fail to express what I want to express. Then same pencil or pen I used to start doodling in a sense, drawing.
Yeah.
So whenever words started failing me, I turned to my drawing book or to my canvas. Of course, to drawing book and from drawing book, I took it further to the canvas.
Yeah.
So to me, I was just in both ways, like in words as well as in visuals. I was transferring myself and experimenting. The main idea was to express what I feel or what I want to say. That was more important.
Right.
So mediums used to come, mediums used to come handy, or sometimes if you're using particular medium, then you get used to it, then you become comfortable,
Hmm.
and then you know that you're doing well or you're doing to your own satisfaction.
Right.
But if you remain in that comfortable zone, then your journey as an artist or you remain, I mean,
Stagnant.
it ends there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then you keep on doing same thing. It happens with many of us. Like you get complacent or you get very comfortable where your work start uh, its journey start traveling. So you want to do the same work so that it will travel more. It will be sold more kind of thing.
Oh,
So you get cased into that kind of comfort zone.
correct.
But since I always try to do something or just whatever I have done, I just want to try out some more methods or more processes. Because art is a long process, and it's not just happened like that. It takes a long time to even realize what you're using, what
Exactly.
platforms you're using,
Correct.
what material you're using, how you're using.
Yes.
Even when we are drawing, like it's like you need a kind of surgical skill, like a surgeon.
Yeah.
Like you should know how to hold a pencil or a
Right.
pen or a brush.
It is a matter of precision for
How
sure.
to, yeah, how much pressure you should put,
Right.
how long you should carry it with the color.
Yeah.
how much color you should take. All these things, they are they you need a lot of practice, you need a lot of patience, and you need a lot of continuity in doing that.
So, in a way, like you're saying, it's important to keep evolving and not getting stagnant. But do you, somehow keep a record of the process you're following or how you're evolving and, how you keep a watch on yourself? And, that obviously impacts how your viewers maybe see or perceive your work.
Yes, see, there are two things, like you should be your own master,
Yeah,
you should be your own guide,
yeah,
and this is what my mentor, who pushed me into canvas. I was doing sketching and all, but the great artist K.H. Ara, who was introduced to me through one of my friends, and he says your sketches are really good. The forms are also very engaging and different. So he told me, why don't you go on canvas? So I told him that, look here, I don't have the kind of knowledge about the technique. He says, technique, you have to develop your own technique. Only thing is you have to learn few things so that your work is remains there as it is for longer time. There are certain rules which you have to learn yourself, but you have to develop your own thing. Another thing is you may be going to many arts exhibitions or museums and galleries, and you may be seeing a lot of masters and their work, and knowingly, unknowingly, they impact your visually.
yeah,
But when you go into your own studio, like you remove your chappal out of before entering a temple, like that, or entering a studio. I do this.
yeah,
Entering a studio, like that, you have to keep all the masters and all the people, all the exhibitions you've seen, all the work you've seen outside your studio.
uh,
Your studio is your own personal space,
yeah,
and you should not allow anybody to enter that space. And I'm talking about not physically,
yeah,
but in your mind. Your studio is in your mind. Studio is not a physical space where you have 200 square feet or 500 square feet or 1,000 square feet and you're working in that and with all the facility. Your
right,
studio is in your mind. So when you are entering a studio and you are thinking over some work or some idea, that time you should be your own student and your own master.
yeah,
Whatever you have been doing, you should take it further.
correct,
So doing
correct,
consistently, doing what you feel you want to do to express yourself
from within.
without without allowing other outside forces to influence your. Of course, I mean, everybody likes it. I like Edward Monk's work,
Mm.
but
Okay,
and I was also not knowing I like him.
yeah,
One of the top artists, uh, he told me that your work is, I mean, I think is influenced by Edward Monk. I said Edward Monk. Of course, I like him, and I have seen his many of his work actually also by visiting the galleries and museums. But his work and my work, there is no. I mean, I don't compare itself, but it's just that is my feeling. Then I realized that I might not be because he's doing a little figurative work.
mm.
I am totally into abstraction,
Right,
but still, then certain ways he has influenced my work. But as far as possible, you be so then only you can go further. Then only you will do something which will not only you will be satisfied with, people will also like appreciate what you're doing.
right,
If you keep on doing something which is already done by others and you just follow the path which is already followed by so many people, so it's a kind of a very lonely journey. But at the end, you feel that yes, though it's a lonely journey and you're traveled, you don't know where you're traveling.
Yeah,
You don't know what is your destiny.
yeah.
But the journey and the travel in art, in your own, discovering your own art processes and doing it
Beautiful journey.
is, I think, what every artist should be doing, to discover himself, kind of.
Right, right. We've already, had, I feel, more like a very magical talk so far, and there've been so many metaphors and, like references, and it's just been already so lovely to hear, the way you express, things that have impacted you and, taken you to where you are. But I'm sure there've been some hurdles, some difficulties in your path, and you've obviously overcome them or dealt with them or learned and evolved from. So maybe you can shed some light.
Yes, yeah, it's a because as I said, it's a lonely journey, and what I felt most was, see, you have self, like everybody has self doubt, as I also used to have self doubt, and there are people who encourage you, there are people who like you, there are people who there are people who will put you down, like, and art is it's not a, it's very subjective area, that's a subjective, art is subjective, like if you like, you may like something which I may not like, and I'll say, "Arey, what is this? It's a trash. What do you find it in this kind of work or something like that?" What you need is not self-confidence as such, but your passion and your determination to continue doing what you're doing.
Yeah,
Like you may not get any recognition, you may not get any sale, or you may not get any accolades.
yeah,
What is more is, otherwise what happens is, otherwise you start following others. You search for the trend. What
yeah.
is trendy?
Correct,
What is branded?
correct.
You start following that. Of course, you may be successful in that way also, but I'm not there for that kind of success or something like that. So you search something, and then you find it's not a very easy way.
Yeah,
It's a difficult way, but you need to continue, and you need that perseverance and determination to do what you think is right in your own way.
correct.
So then, in the journey, especially in art journey, what kind of people are there, what kind of institutions are there. They're all supportive, but at the same time, there are many, like you hear so many stories about fake paintings. So there are a lot of traps
Stories
also.
about, sorry,
Sorry,
stories about what?
stories about fake paintings, paintings
Right, right.
which are sold for millions of dollars, which are copies of somebody else's work. So there are all kinds of people. So one needs to steer clear and go ahead, doing your own work.
Okay, so any mementos or elements that are very meaningful and represent your journey. Like it could be some messages or songs that you resonate with, or any event or a place you visited. Messages, date or time that has any meaning in your life. Documents or awards.
No, see, I have learned a lot from, because I have held so many exhibitions in Mumbai, Delhi, all other places in Bangalore, in India, as well as abroad also, so many places, so many countries,
Yeah,
and I have learned a lot from the visitors.
yeah.
How, because I don't intervene, or I just don't go to them and try to explain, or just catch their attention. I just sit quietly watching them and listening to them what they are talking about. And so I will just, as you are asking a question, I just recollect one incident. where I had a show in Leela Palace.
Yeah.
It's a five-star hotel in Bangalore,
Okay.
and they had sponsored one of my show.
Okay.
Uh, it was my theme was those days I was working on um, my as an artist how I'm reacting to the environmental changes that are taking
Yeah.
place, and so it was kind of that exhibition was there. And there were
Yeah.
a lot of people coming around and going, and all those visitors were there. So there was a small child of about 7 year old, and he was just walking along and uh, seeing those paintings, and suddenly he stopped in front of a painting, and he told his mother, "Look, the nature is so angry." So I was so happy that without any words of the boy knowing anything what I'm doing or what way I'm doing my paintings or not, but I could convey that message to him, like he could understand what an artist was trying to do. And
Correct.
I thought that
Correct.
that was one of the best certificate I got for what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And another thing is, see, paintings and art, visual art is really a universal language.
Yeah.
Suppose you're going and you're exhibiting your work in Spain or a place where you don't know, nobody knows you.
Yeah.
So they look at your work. They may not know what you're doing, what is your background, from which
Yeah.
country you're coming, what language you're speaking. But if your work is really with some energy into it and some originality, some
That years of language.
spontaneity,
Yeah.
then the viewers in other countries, wherever they are, they
Yeah.
also relate with your work. So it's a kind of a universal language.
Amazing. Amazing. So basically, your work, you notice, and you that's your greatest takeaway, that it communicates what you want to, and it resonates and touches people, and people understand through your art, and there's no need for any explanation, or
Yes.
any justification. It just clicks with people.
Yeah, it happens like that. Yes.
So, like, any emotions attached with your experience as an artist, would you have done anything to change or affect the kind of journey you've had till now?
Sorry, I didn't get your question.
I'm saying, would you have changed anything about your journey till now? Like, anything you would have done differently, or affected or changed something that ऐसे नहीं करना चाहिए था, maybe done things something differently so far?
No, I have no such such consideration or such views because I'm doing what comes to me and what I feel like I should be doing.
Yeah.
So I'm just responding to my own inner urges, of expressing myself.
Right. Right.
And
Completely
another thing is, I'm not doing like kind of this is a work which is known and people will recognize by that.
Yeah.
I'm not bothered about that. Like I'm not doing anything to kind of have your own brand or something like that. But I'm doing work which comes to me and kind of creative work and experiments. So I mean, I feel that almost though I may be working in a series, uh, but I'm doing all kinds of experiments. So necessarily my first work or last work, they don't sometimes resemble, or sometimes you may not be able to say that this work and this work is connected. This
Mm-hmm.
happens, but this is a journey. Like I mean, nothing is complete. So you just keep on doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But as you say, as you had asked me earlier also, how do you contemplate or like yes, you have to look back.
Yeah.
And then when I look back, I see my own journey in the art, and not even knowingly or unknowingly, when whatever work I was doing in my school days,
Yeah.
couple of it is I have still preserved it, like they are
Oh,
still with me, like the the drawing which I had done in, say, about 8th standard or even before that is with me, and I was shocked. You will be also surprised that it was abstract work.
Oh, wow.
I was just done it in a small piece of paper
Right.
and with ink,
Okay.
but that work in ink also
Something else.
was not like I was doing something different. But this those kind of work I still have with me. So that really makes you like that really then it helps you understand yourself and chart your journey further, kind of as an artist.
That's yeah. I mean, keeping a record and is great.
Yes,
It shows that you have
documentation is very important,
right,
which not many of us do.
right.
And I really get angry when I find somebody, especially in the social media. Of course, it's free and everybody gets it.
Yeah,
So you don't respect your own work, then how the world is going to respect you and your work?
correct,
People
correct.
just do something, they take a image. I'm not saying quality or something like that. Quality is good,
Yeah.
but you just take an image and put it somewhere, saying that this is my recent work.
Mm,
What work you're doing? What is the title? If you're not giving any title, you say untitled. What material you use? On what?
I
Whether it's on canvas or on paper or on textile. What is the size?
correct, correct.
What is the year? Simple thing, but unfortunately, many of us we don't follow that, and that's how then it reflects on you. If you're not proper and if you're not doing it in a proper manner and not documenting your work properly, then it remains wherever it is.
I think that was the first you had come to my first show at Jangir, and I think there was a sticker on a frame, something, and you pulled my ear right there. You're like, "What is
Yeah,
all this?" You just yelled at me, and I think that was my
yes,
first lesson learned right there.
yes.
So, can you tell us about how maybe your professional life affects your personal life, and whether it's like a mode of self-expression?
Yes, of course, your professional life, whatever you're doing, it really affects your personal life, your family life also. Because when I still remember, because first I used to do my work at home only,
Hmm.
and that was the time when I had just started using oil paint and all. So you can imagine in a small flat where we're using oil paint and it is just kept it there for drying it all. So
Right.
whole
Yeah.
home will just smell like oil paint.
Correct.
So it used to affect my wife as well as my son and whoever coming to my home.
Yeah.
But that is how we just went ahead. These were the hurdles, these were the difficulties, and I'm thankful to my family members that they really tolerated me and all my antics of doing this and that. And especially in Mumbai, space is very precious, very costly, so
Correct.
it's very difficult.
Correct.
And I think it's not possible for everybody to have a kind of studio,
Yeah.
but but we should follow some good ideas. Like my niece, she is Doctor Bhagyashree. She is in UK,
Mm.
and she is working in some interior, a small county kind of place. So I had gone and visited her. So that county, they have a small art hub
Okay.
where they have small cubicles, kind of 4 5 studios. So anybody who wants to work or do some artwork, they have to register themselves, just go there and use that place for 5 6 hours or a day.
Okay.
Now, those kind of facilities we should also have, but unfortunately we don't have anything. We have very less public space,
Correct.
though our cities are growing like anything.
Correct.
Let us
Correct.
hope that art and other
I
forms of
think
cultural activities will get more space and more support.
uh, maybe you can tell us a little about your association with World Citizen Artists?
World Citizen Artist, yes. Before that, I would like to speak little about how I use the internet for connecting with art world, and not merely remaining in Mumbai and remain in Mumbai. So I have been using internet since 95, 96. And those are the days, earlier days, there was no visuals in the internet, only text, only text files.
Okay.
And I'm talking about the days when there was no Facebook, there was no Instagram, no social platforms. But even then, there used to be small, they used to call rooms, one room dedicated to doctors, one room dedicated to artists, like that. So this is small rooms, and then you can join. If you're on
Right.
internet, you have to log in and you just join there,
Right.
and you could see and watch what others are speaking to each other. Then you can also intervene, you can make some comment, and also get connected.
Yeah.
So like that, I used to be on the internet, and of course only for art, nothing if not for chit chat or just wasting time.
Right.
So during those days, there is a lot of groups also. So in one of the group, I made many friends during those time. And as everybody shifted from those small platforms to the bigger platforms like Facebook or Instagram or something like that, all of us who we had known each other also slowly shifted there. So I came to know, I just liked one artist called Valerie.
Hmm.
She is a French artist.
Yeah.
Her work.
Yeah.
So I just interacted with her, and I told her what I liked about her work and how I look at it. And then we started interacting, and she also liked my work, especially in the blue. She liked my work in blue. So we started interacting. After that, after almost 10 years, and I think must be 10, 15 years after that, then by then she had set up and become, uh, not she, but she was promoting that world art, world citizen, world citizen artist. So she suggested that I should become the member. So I become member, and then it was also only association of artists. So I was also one of them, and then we also started interacting with them.
Yeah.
And since I was exhibiting my work so many places, so many other countries also,
Yeah.
they made me ambassador of that organization.
Correct.
So wherever I used to go, I used to tell people about this organization. And then we had one. She suggested that let us have a joint show. So she's organized one show in France. It was a small county, but the county was known for its love for art. So they gave us entire castle. Then the castle was given to us, both of us, to exhibit our work.
Wow.
So I went there. My exhibition was there for 2 months in France, and she was also there. She was also part of the exhibition, and then there also I learned a lot from the people who visited that art show and talked about us. And then after that, they organized one international art competition for which they made me uh, one of the examiners for that international art show. It was held along with the one art gallery in London. So it was a beautiful experience. I learned a lot about how you judge artworks and how you grade them and
Yeah.
how you reach to a suggestion, because there were only three persons were there as a jury: that gallery owner, myself, and Valerie. All that we did on net by transferring images and looking at it and then discussing. And after we selected work, then we held a show in London.
Okay.
So I went there for that show also. So it's a kind of a organization where artists come together and they support each other. Like they discuss art about each other. Like, and they They make suggestions. They make also they make known to you like what are the possibilities of your art being shown worldwide, or something like that. So
Yeah.
it also helped me a lot.
Right. Okay. Great. Can you tell us about your creative process and the form of art that you adopt?
Yes, as I told you, like the art process is a kind of continuous process.
Correct.
There is no
Yeah.
fixed time as
Continue.
such,
Yeah.
but actually it start materializing when you go to the studio. And as told you earlier, that studio is a very personal space where you don't allow others to enter. And so, what I do in my studio is I listen to the music, I read, I just think, and I paint only when I'm inspired, like only when I feel like doing it. Not like every day you go to the studio and do it.
Yeah.
Nor I don't allow visuals from outside to enter into my studio also. So studio I don't, because see, you visit so many museums, you visit so many art exhibitions, and you get a lot of brochures and all those things. But nothing is allowed to enter into the studio because you don't want anything to influence your art process. Then there are methods, like everybody develops his own. Like when you go to and you have a canvas, then you season the canvas. Now, how you season the canvas also is a thing of art. Like unless you know how to season your canvas, what you do on your canvas will also affect like that. The basic aim is to see that whatever work, because in art you need longevity, like your art, whatever you're doing,
Yeah.
should last long, at least for 200 years, 300 years. So you have to use the best canvas, you have to use the best material, and then you start doing the work. Like once you do this season the canvas, which takes 2 3 days, then you start. And my way of working is totally different in a sense, since I'm into abstraction and I give more more thought to spontaneity. When I go to like it's a kind of a like when you go to temple, you make your mind like very calm, quiet, and like just get rid of everything, all emotions, passions, or good thing, bad thing, whatever. So when I stand before an empty canvas, that the canvas is to me like I still remember this that Krishna story which we read in school days.
Yeah.
Like he ate the butter, and his mother uh, caught hold of him
Yeah.
and asked him to open his mouth
Hmm.
to see whether he has eaten the butter.
Yeah.
When he opened the mouth, so for her it's a Vishwarupa darshan, like the whole world, the whole globe, the whole universe is there in that open mouth. So you have a canvas which is also like that. वो कैनवास पे आप क्या पूरा दुनिया जो भी चाहिए आप निकाल सकते हो, तो आपको क्या निकालना है, आपको क्या करना है. So I don't decide anything when I approach my canvas. My mind is empty, and I leave it to my subconscious, and then I start working. And there come a point, and not that it happens in one sitting. It may happen. So there comes a point when you know that now it is over. Like it's okay, fine.
Yeah.
So it is all spontaneous. And when you look back at your own work, then you realize that how things must have happened those times. So when you're doing work like this, of course, there is not going to be anything like modulated or decided. It happens,
Right.
and every time you don't know what color you're taking. For example, last 5 6 years, I was only working in blue.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was working only in blue color and exploring the blue color.
Correct.
which is a universal work. But during this pandemic time, when we are all isolated and we don't have access to going to the studio and all, so as I've started working at home only, I have not stopped my art process or art practice or doing work. So I'm doing at my home. But somehow I have started bringing in other colors also on my palette and working on it.
Okay.
So it's for individual artists. You have to experiment. You have to find out with what you are comfortable, and then continue the journey.
Okay, and like you mentioned, you empty your mind and you let your subconscious take over. So, how do you introspect, and what is, how do you like have that clarity or that emptiness?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Like that emptiness is I'm feeling with the color. It's not only canvas which is empty. The canvas is my reflection of my mind.
Right. So, how do you
So it's
introspect on your art later on also?
no, I think my journey is still continuing. I have many more things to express, and let me see how it takes shape. But it's that joy you get after completing a painting or creating a work. There is no parallel. You cannot compare it with anything. For me, it's a bliss. It's a kind of a stage where you really feel happy or contented or just like people get happiness from many things. This is my area where I work on canvas and I'm uh, doing it.
Okay, last question. Any experiences from your career that is a benchmark moment of your life?
No, I don't get you.
Any moments of your of your career, any defining moments that became a benchmark moment of your life, like something that stood out, uh, defining benchmark moments.
Yeah, if I look back and see my creative journey,
Yeah, your creative journey.
I like the story began with my school teacher,
Yeah.
and in the school itself he introduced us to J. Krishnamurti.
Wow.
So those days I don't understand what J. Krishnamurti and all his philosophical thinking and all, but our teacher used to ask us very simple questions, and then he used to say, "This is what J. Krishnamurti said." For example, he used to tell us to look out of the window. What do you see? Then
Yeah.
he used to say, we are seeing people's tree. So why do you say tree?
Yeah.
So that was not, we know, I said tree, everybody says it's a tree, so we are saying tree. He said, no, that is not the way J. Krishnamurti want you to look at the tree. Look at it and then describe it and then understand it and say what it is in your own words. So that kind of originality was inculcated at that stage. And later, when I was in Mumbai, and J. Krishnamurti himself was delivering a kind of series of lectures
Mm.
in JJ School of Art. I attended one of the series of J. Krishnamurti,
Yeah.
and I think that has also helped me a lot in my creative journey as a author, as an artist. That philosophical bend of mind of that what he he was saying that you should not allow your past or anxiety about future to cloud your present. So live your presence. And when I'm painting something or doing work on the canvas, I feel I'm alive now. Now,
Yeah.
that kind of experience I'm getting. So I think that is one of the moment I remember, and we just travel through through my journey in art.
Very basic and never lets you down.
Yes.
Okay, so that's the end of my question. If there's anything else you want to share that maybe I've not asked or something, you can go ahead. Otherwise, I'll be taking up certain just reference points from your answers, and maybe calling you and filling the gaps in whatever I need to refer to, and create a more suggestive kind of artwork based on what you've spoken today. And
Yes.
I'll be sharing it maybe in a couple of weeks. It takes some time, the process.
Right. Yeah.
I do some research, I go through the video, and then
Yes.
analyze and things like that, and then create. So yeah, is there anything else you want to share?
No, I think you asked me all, I mean, what
Yeah,
was required to be asked, and I think I answered whatever you have asked.
no, it has been
It
super.
was, yeah, I mean, it was kind of a loud thinking for me.
Right.
The questions really made me think about my art processes as well about how I have traveled or reached to the stage. So it was a wonderful journey for 1 hour, kind of.
Yeah, same here. And I'm so glad you enjoyed it. And I'm sure everyone who's heard has enjoyed. And there have been lots and lots of takeaways, a lot of inspiration coming through from this conversation. And those who maybe see it later, who couldn't tune in right now, I'm gonna save it as soon as it ends. So thank you, and I hope
Yeah,
to
thank
back
you.
again.
My
I
pleasure.
hope people
Yes.
like you,
Yeah.
and thank you so much. And I'll keep in touch with you. And sorry, yeah. Any questions? People who are still online. Do you all have
Yeah,
any
yeah.
questions for me?
Go ahead. Yeah.
You all can just type it in the question section. It has a question mark. You just in case someone may have any questions. It's a good opportunity to ask him anything. Gaurav, I guess no questions, but people are, I think, really enjoyed it. Maybe I've done all the questions already.
Okay. Fine.
Alright, great.
Yeah. See you.
Yeah. See you. Thank you. Bye bye.